And, you know, I think it's easy to look at these kids and, you know, not my problem, not my, you know, I don't have to get involved. It's really easy to do that. And I myself was in that position. I didn't know anything about foster care and how great the need was. But now that I know, I just can't turn a blind eye. Hey guys, thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to this channel where you're going to hear about foster care, adoption, motherhood, and maybe even a little bit of mama beauty thrown in there as well. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about faith and fostering and how my faith brought me to foster care. So, you know, maybe I'm going to share my story right from the beginning. When I grew up, I lived beside a foster home, and I just thought it was really cool that this woman just, you know, there was always kids coming and going, and they were all older kids. She never took care of babies, but I just thought it was really cool. And one of the kids in the home became like my best friend. He was there. It was a long-term foster care placement. He was there for many years, probably from the time I was about 4 till the time I was about 12. And we used to hang out a lot and do lots together. And, you know, at the time I didn't really understand, and I don't think I ever asked him really about his family. I just accepted that he lived with them. But that was what kind of like first piqued my interest in foster care. Secondly, my brother has Down syndrome, and just seeing my mom being an advocate for him and an advocate for kids that need someone to stand up for them, I think that really inspired me as well. And then lastly, when I was in Nicaragua, when I was 17 or 18 years old, I was on a mission trip with my church with my husband. He was my boyfriend at the time. And I just remember seeing these kids playing in the dirt with a rope, and they were laughing, they were just having so much fun. And I just remember thinking, like, you know, our kids back home, they need the latest video games and nice designer clothes, and, you know, they just so much material things to be able to see that much joy in a child back here in Canada or the States, you know, in Western culture. So that, seeing that joy and seeing these kids and seeing how poor they were and the poverty that they lived in, but still the joy that they had in their heart, you know, I had the urge to protect all these kids, you know, kids playing in the dirt, and I just wanted to take them home with me and give them a good life here. And that was really what kind of piqued my interest in wanting to adopt one day. So those three things kind of shaped me becoming a foster parent. And then the fourth thing, I had a miscarriage, and I'm going to do another video all about that, because I think a lot of people come to foster care through infertility and have maybe suffered, you know, a miscarriage or many miscarriages. So I will do another video on that, sharing my story there, and I'll link it here if it's up. But I think I would have took for granted what it was to be a mother if that hadn't happened to me. And I was devastated. I fell into a depression. After my miscarriage, we struggled for about 4 months after. I kept trying to get pregnant. It wasn't happening. And I really thought, like, okay, I'm just not meant to be a mom. And, you know, it was a really, like, dark, sad time in my life. And when I did get pregnant again with my daughter, Lilia, I just treated it so differently. Treated the pregnancy differently, and treated, you know, I would hear moms complaining about getting up in the night, and you know, for me, I would just do anything for that, to have that experience. And I'm sure many of you, if you're here and you've struggled with infertility, you get that feeling probably tenfold more than how I felt it. But I really think it shaped the kind of mother that I am today, having that miscarriage. And, you know, I worked in a salon, and a very small salon, and 4 people were pregnant. You know, one girl was just a week ahead of me of what I would be due. So I had to go through, you know, her pregnancy, and I was happy for her, but it was, I was still very, very sad for myself. And then another girl I worked with was pregnant a few weeks later, and another girl I worked with was pregnant a few weeks later, and another girl that we used to work with was also pregnant. So all these people around me were just getting pregnant, and we kept trying and trying for those 4 months, and obviously 4 times, you know, 4 chances in those 4 months, and it didn't happen. And I was ready to leave that salon because I just couldn't be there anymore. As much as some of these girls were my bestest friends, like I couldn't be surrounded by it and go home and cry every night. And I don't even know if they know that, but it was just a really sad time for me. So I was we went and looked at a house to downsize so that we could have enough money for me to purchase the salon, which is actually the salon that two of my really good friends ended up purchasing when my daughter was a year old. So, and that's where I ended up working. So it kind of came full circle. It's funny. But, you know, if that didn't happen, I would be a very different mother. And I would, you know, not saying that you have to go through that to be a good mom. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just for me and the experiences I was having in that time, I worked in an amazing career. I was full-time in the salon. I also worked part-time doing education, and I got to do a lot of traveling to the States and to Europe with that. And like sometimes I just worked 60 days straight with not a day off, teaching other hairdressers, and I really loved it. I had a lot of fun. It was a great time in my life, but would I have been the best mother then? I don't know. You know, I was super career focused, and again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who, you know, moms who choose to work. I think that's great if you can manage both. For me, I felt too torn personally, and my heart was just at home and to be at home with my kids while they were little. And I've always worked part-time since having kids, and I work now from home. It's part of the reason why I do my blog so that I can help support my family, but be able to be home for my kids and our foster children. So anyways, saying all of that, having that miscarriage really strengthened my faith, and I became a believer of Jesus Christ when I was 18 years old. And I always grew up believing in God. I grew up Catholic, but I just never really had a personal and intimate relationship with God like I do now. I didn't pray regularly. I didn't go to church regularly, anything like that. But I was never a non-believer. But when I was 18, I met my husband. My husband's father is a pastor, and, you know, I truly believe God put him in my life for a reason. And the way my life changed after meeting him, becoming a Christian, and, you know, choices I then started to make, not saying I'm perfect, it changed my life for the better overall, and I became a lot less selfish and really just wanted to care for others and do for others and just be more selfless. And, you know, I think many of us struggle with that will to please ourselves first, but that's not what God called us to do. He wants us to love others and do for others and give. Like that's the character of God. He gave us his son to die for us, and that's how he wants us to be. So it was a big reason that we decided to become foster parents. And, you know, my faith just really shaped me. And, you know, I think it's easy to look at these kids and, you know, not my problem, not my, you know, I don't have to get involved. It's really easy to do that. And I myself was in that position. I didn't know anything about foster care and how great the need was. But now that I know, I just can't turn a blind eye. Does that mean I'm going to be a foster parent forever? I don't know. But I know I have a deep love and urge to protect and care for vulnerable children. And I know that some way, shape, or form, that will be a part of my life. So I just want to encourage you, if you're a Christian and you're watching this, that God's calling you to get involved. And that doesn't necessarily mean becoming a foster parent. And I'm going to do another video on ways that you can support the foster care community without actually becoming a foster parent, because I don't believe that it's everybody's calling. It is very intrusive. You have no privacy. I constantly have social workers coming through my home, different kids coming through my home. It's a constant season of change. You know, it's a day-to-day struggle with feelings and emotions. I'm getting emotional talking about it now, even because, you know, I'm just currently in a really heavy part of the foster care journey. So, you know, it's a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, and there's amazing moments and sad moments, and I know I couldn't do it without my faith. But I watched a Matt Chandler sermon online, and I'm going to try and insert a clip here if I can. But he was saying, if you're pro-life, then you have to be pro-foster care, and you have to be pro-adoption.
You can work with organizations like Young Lives that work with teen moms. You can open up your homes and open up your hearts to those. Listen, my sister got pregnant when she was early in high school. It's scary. How do you put food on the table? What are you going to do? What happens if the family's not supportive? Where are you going to go? See, all of a sudden abortion starts to sound somewhat attractive, because how are you supposed to handle this? You're not ready for this. See, this is where the church, if we say this is murder, and yet we don't say, we're here for you, we'll walk alongside of you, we'll provide for you, come into my house, come eat dinner with our family. How can I serve you? How can I come alongside of you? We'll help you get diapers, we'll get you bottles, we'll show you kind of what to do, we'll support you, we'll help you get into school, we'll watch the baby while you go to work, we'll come alongside. If the church doesn't do that, then we probably don't understand the gospel and should shut our mouths on this being murder. You can't do both. It's deplorable. It's Pharisaic to do that. To say it's murder, but good luck, is sinful and disgusting for the church of Jesus Christ. No, we roll up our sleeves and we foster and we adopt and we babysit and we come alongside and we free up capital to support. And we send off to junior college and we watch it, and it's difficult and it's messy and it feels like it'll never end. And God honors it and lives are saved. We just get in the fight lest we join that whole crew that still looks back on the civil rights movement with a hint of shame that they did nothing but watch. See, I don't want to just watch. I'd like some scars.
So if you're watching this and you're pro-life, and this is not a debate I'm going to get into, I believe every child is a miracle from God and deserves a shot at life. But, you know, if that is something that you believe in, you have to get involved. You can't care about the kids when they're not born yet, but then not worry about them and not support the communities and the families that need their support because they have chosen to bring them into this world. So I want to encourage you, if you're a Christian, that God is calling you to get involved. And that's why we feel so strongly about being involved in foster care and adopting one day, because God has adopted all of us into his family. And, you know, before, when I was making videos, I'm sure I've referenced my faith before, but I've never, you know, been as bold to make a video about my faith completely like this, because I didn't want to turn people away. I wanted people to know that there's a need, whether they're Christians or not. I'm not saying that if you're not a Christian, you shouldn't do foster care. I think people come to foster care from different journeys and different paths, and I think that's amazing. I just think as long as you have the love and the will to help to support these kids, then I think it's amazing that you're involved. But I'm just specifically in this video talking to people of the same faith of me that are maybe not involved. I really think you should be involved in some way, shape, or form. And whether that's, you know, getting involved in a cuddler program, or doing a meal train for a foster parent who's getting a new placement, or donating your clothes to a foster family or an adoption agency or a pregnancy awareness or pregnancy resource center, you know, helping these kids. These kids are our next generation, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. So helping these kids, it doesn't mean they have to be in your home. There's many ways to help. So I just want to encourage you today to get involved. The need is great, and it's only getting greater. Another video here about all the orphans being made from the opiate crisis that is currently happening in Canada and the States, and how many kids are being affected by it. And, you know, we have to do something. Globally, we have to do something. It affects us all as a society. So anyways, I just want to encourage you. Thank you so much for being here. Like to spread awareness for foster care. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.